My dad and I both adored our amazing brother. However, my parents put up with me. Really, I wasn't excellent at anything, sports, school, or anything else. I was essentially overlooked when my brother was accepted to medical school. My parents provided financial support to him during my time at community college, enabling him to graduate debt-free. They wanted him to succeed because they saw a bright future for him. I complied with the advice to obtain student loans. I also stopped making eye contact and at last acknowledged my place in their world. We mostly just spoke during my brother's events. I completed my master's degree, and I enjoy my work. I enjoy being of service to others, but I also had to think ahead. I had a vasectomy because I believed that although having children would raise my standard of living, I could still lead a happy life with a spouse. My wife and I got married, and she supports not having children. We live in a modest town with affordable housing and have 2 pets. I apologize for the build-up, but I'm attempting to stay off of this next section. He passed away during his honeymoon. My folks are inconsolable. I am not getting any better. I went to my hometown with my wife to attend the funeral. I went to check on my parents after seeing them. Since my brother's wedding the previous month, we had not spoken. It was clear that they were upset. My mother advised me to name one of our children after my brother. Since I wasn't really thinking clearly, I gave the straight story. I was forced to decide between having children and repaying my student debt. When she questioned me about what I meant, I told her that I had had a vasectomy and would not be getting married. I always assumed my brother would take care of her grandmother's needs. My father became quite angry with me since I had made such a foolish choice, essentially ending our family tree branch. I added that I had always assumed my brother would offer them grandchildren and that, like me, my children would be an afterthought. After that, we returned home. My mom is having a breakdown instead of hanging out because of my brother's death and the news that I won't be having children. My father is merely irate. Family members are saying that my wording was inappropriate. Since I was 12, they have not expressed much interest in me. Really, I don't believe I owe them anything. My father contacted and said he would pay to have my vasectomy undone. My wife doesn't want children, I told him. We had informed them that we were childless, and they had not given a damn until my brother passed away, I recalled him. It appears that the operation has been handled like a spare. They don't have the authority to insist that Op give them their grandkids. Perhaps this wasn't the perfect moment to inform them of that, but whatever gets done, gets done. For Opie's own mental well-being and comfort, though, I would advise avoiding close communication with him. They won't be letting up on the kids anytime soon, and I'm sure they'll try to force Op to fill the vacuum that Op's brother left in their lives. Let's now hear what the community has to say. Nazim Ha says, "You don't want to have kids? That's your choice, and they don't have a say, especially if they treated you like crap then expect you to be a replacement of their perfect child." Gino Pack says, "You're the a-hole, but not for getting a vasectomy. It's about your sense of entitlement, acting horribly when your brother died. I get the fact you want freedom and fun, but you know your grieving parents value the next generation that will support you, and this fact would hurt them. Yet, you told them at the worst time. Then you're the a-hole because you make life decisions based on spite because your parents were biased and don't believe you'd be the kind of person they'd want to support." Obsidian Pearl 19 says, "Not the a-hole. And I cannot believe your mother's first thought after her own son died was, at least the other one will give me grandbabies. Like the only value you held to her as an adult was the ability to procreate and carry on your family's DNA. I'm so sorry you're being treated this way, Op. Go low contact and give them the time to grieve their potential grandkids they would have gotten from your brother because it seems they, especially your mom, are more upset at that than losing their own child. Sorry for your loss, Op. Background: with my ex-wife, I have a 5-year-old kid. Roughly 2.5 years ago, we split up. We experienced some highs and lows as a married couple. Although we never actually fought or argued, we did negotiate a lot while harboring deep feelings. Nevertheless, we were always able to unite over something in common. That's why her announcement that she wanted a divorce kind of took me off guard. We didn't have enough money to maintain our house or car at that point, so I went fishing after crying for a few days and began making plans on how to make ends meet. We decided that I would handle selling the automobile and she could hire a realtor to begin the process of selling our house. As it happens, I had to do both nonetheless. We owed more money than we had, and she attempted to transfer all of our debt to me so that she could start over. I made sure that everything we owned and all of our debt would be divided equally, and I wouldn't let her. Our daughter had the right to live with two parents, so we decided that she would live with both of us equally. We each agreed to behave civilly. This was short-lived. We also decided that neither of us would pay child support because our wages were fairly equal. We also decided that since she would be receiving the child benefit, roughly €100 per month in Finland, that is provided by the government to help with child rearing, she would handle purchasing the majority of our child's clothing and other necessities. Even before she had located a new place for herself, she began mail ordering new furnishings for herself after the separation. She actually didn't have the money for it either, which is kind of clear. She relocated 2 weeks later. Our child told me she had a new man a week later. I raised an eyebrow, not really caring. She would frequently call in sick to work, typically for the most ridiculous reasons, and when her employer offered her some feedback, she chose to quit rather than change her attitude. She applied and was accepted to the school. She stopped attending the school after approximately 2 months and began requesting that I give her child support. We received an expert opinion and decided that even after she had caused her own income to collapse, I would not give her any money. I volunteered to cover our daughter's insurance as a courtesy. A few months after our breakup, I thought the situation was resolved, but she became pregnant for her new guy. The judge will schedule a 6-month period for reconsideration following the finalization of our divorce. She tied the knot with her new partner. These things gave her the confidence to keep asking for more money. You understand the type of person we are dealing with now, since in the case from last fall, she sought money once more to support our child. She was back at work, and I realized she had made up an excuse about our child because she had been jealous of my ability to manage my money to the point where even with the same amount of money, I could go out to eat and do other things. I assured her that I would assist her in getting child support if she needed it for justifiable reasons, but that the precise amount she would require accurate calculation of all costs. Rather, she insisted that I give her $500 a month so that she could handle all of our daughter's bills. Other than her desire for control, she had no genuine justification for the demand. It had always been her desire to make the final decision. This time, she added a threat to her demand that if I didn't pay her, she would sue me. Until I received a message from her attorney, I pretty much laughed at it. I then messaged my ex-girlfriend, telling her that I would only talk to our lawyers about this issue going forward and that I had begun the process of hiring a lawyer of my own. Over the next few months, her case began to take a serious turn for the worse. I discovered that her case was founded on fictitious information after receiving the court's documents. Before they sued me, she and her attorney had not requested my income or expenses, and she had greatly overestimated my revenue. In addition, my predicted expenses were lower than my actual expenses. I messaged my ex at this time to find out if she was certain she didn't want to settle. She didn't, so I gave up and didn't attempt again, siding with some malevolent compliance. With the assistance of our lawyers, my lawyer and I were able to assess each party's income and expenses, and we were able to establish that she had the funds to raise our child. Not only that, but it turned out that her monthly income, after deducting living expenses, prescription drugs, etc., was actually more than mine. The ridiculousness of her case made me chuckle uncontrollably, and I became even more enraged when we discovered that she had attempted to manipulate the proceedings by providing the judge and us with fabricated evidence. After a few days, I received a call from my lawyer. She received a call from my ex's attorney stating that he had discovered my ex was lying, the case was founded on false information, and the attorney was looking to settle. It appeared that my MC would not proceed until my attorney received a message stating that they would not settle after all. Play the judgment. We appeared in court. The judge was calm, yet irritated. He inquired about their requests from my ex's attorney. "First, I'm going to tell a bit of the backstory," the attorney began, but the court interrupted, instructing him to just make the demands. There was silence for a short while before the lawyer stated, "No demands." The judge was shocked and incensed, asking, "Then why are we here?" My lawyer responded, "That's what we're asking too." Subsequently, the judge requested my ex's attorney to clarify. "You didn't want to settle?" the judge was asked, and the attorney humbly replied, "My ex would agree to settle." They felt so ashamed. It was truly magnificent, akin to receiving divine karma at hands of an ex. Because she had more money, the court gave us instructions to go to a meeting room for 20 minutes and return with a settlement agreement. We worked out a deal where she would cover our child's insurance, hobbies, and other expenses to make up the gap. After the judge confirmed it, my party cheerfully departed the courtroom. Conversely, my ex was in a state of conflict between embarrassment and anger. The fallout: a few weeks prior, my former partner insisted that we modify the plan regarding our child's home-sharing routine. I said, "We have an agreement," and I declined. She threatened to sue me, and I asked her whether she really wanted to do that again after reminding her of the previous time she tried to obtain what she wanted by suing me. She became irate, but I chose to ignore it. She told me in a message that she got into an argument with her spouse about a week ago. She sought a divorce and attacked him, so the police were called. Since there were children present, including mine, the police had to notify Child Protective Services. Her life has essentially fallen apart. She has 2 children from separate dads, 2 divorces before she is 30, and a mountain of debt and bills. As per our child's request during the last 2 years or so, it appears that she will be spending most of her time at my residence. Sunda says, "Well done. She received what was due to her. She wanted to lie to her own attorney." She seems to be in a difficult situation. Some of it may be her own fault and some may be external. So, here's some kind guidance based on my personal experience as well as observations from my friends and family. Never be negative or disparage your ex in front of your child, no matter what occurs, especially if the child ends up living with you more than 50/50ths. When the child wants to complain or let off steam, listen to them out and let them know that you will be there for them, but don't agree with them or share details of adult arguments. "It seems that you benefited from your divorce," Nanny Boo Boo remarks. "Maybe think about if it would be better for your child to live with you and see the mother on occasion." Nikki's 84 advises being cautious because your ex-spouse may try to get back together in order to avoid having to pay child support or end up homeless. You're going to decline, of course, but she's not feeling well. Installing some cameras could be a good idea just in case. About 11 months ago, or the previous year, we discovered that my dad had been unfaithful to my mother. They split fast, and we were all quite angry with my father soon after. It appeared that this had occurred perhaps once a year for the previous 7 years. My mother taught me all the detail. While my dad stayed in their guest house, I flew up to comfort my mom. My mom moved in with my fiancé to take care of her for a time, so I didn't speak to my dad for months. I didn't have any time or money goals for her. I made no requests. I took her about the town and introduced her to everyone, prepared her a welcome basket, and did all in my power to make her feel at home. After a while, she moved into her own place, but when we assisted her in unloading her storage unit, she began to accuse me of being a jerk and not caring enough for her. During all of this, I was planning my wedding and starting a new full-time job. I asked for specifics, and she mentioned the time we all went to the beach with her car. It was a sweltering summer's day, and it was the only one with back air conditioning, so I assumed she would buy food. I'm not sure where this is coming from, but she traveled alone a lot. All of this to say, I believe my mother is targeting those closest to her with her rage. She may be upset that she moved out of state, in my opinion. I did, mainly out of rage, notify her right after the infidelity revelation that my dad would not be attending the wedding. So that I wouldn't feel guilty, I made the decision that I wanted him to attend the ceremony later. My mother handled it quite badly. She said that I was supporting her aggressor, my father, who is a liar and cheater, and that I couldn't behave like everything was normal. She also threatened not to come. She's called me a liar, a spoiled brat, and a baby. She feels that I am punishing her. My dad and I worked together to come up with some reasonable guidelines. She would have to notify him before he could enter the event. There will be no rehearsal dinner for him. They would not be taking pictures together, and he would not be attending the reception. My NAA aunt and his entire family wouldn't be able to stay after the ceremony. This is acceptable to them. We've talked about it. I put out these guidelines because I knew my mother was the one who was being harmed in this instance. It was devastating for our entire family, and I want her to be at ease. It took her some time to decide whether or not to come, even with these. I believe my father is just happy to be allowed to attend the wedding because he has been quite understanding of all these constraints. He has told me that he is really sorry. Because he wasn't there anywhere else, I reasoned that it wouldn't be a huge thing to have him walk me down the aisle. However, my mother claims that he has destroyed her life and that I am supporting her attacker by letting him even to walk me down the aisle. About 2 weeks remain till the wedding, and I'm not sure if my mother will go at all. Is it wrong of me to let him attend the wedding and lead me down the aisle? Edit. I'd like to add that my father gave me advice on how to work with my mother on a compromise. It was he who gave most of them. We still communicate frequently as we once did and get along well. Parent-child relationships should never involve children. It is irrelevant how old they are. Cheating is bad, and OP's father has no justification for it. However, it appears like he is the only one acting like a grown-up. Though their relationship did dissolve, he continued to be OP's father. It's time for OP's mother to move over her own issues and focus on OP and her happiness. Let's now hear what the community has to say, says Skullbearer, not the bastard. It seems that your mother is involving you in her marital problems and that you were physically abusive to your father. She can remain silent and take a seat. Not the a-hole, all of us here says, and this is a good illustration of how wrong individuals are who claim that extramarital affairs shouldn't have an impact on the kids. It impacts all individuals, shatters families, and has an impact on kids, even grown-up kids. I'm very sorry that this is happening to you as you're attempting to arrange a wedding. Has your mother entered treatment? You're right, the grief and rage are misdirected. In order to support her daughter on her wedding day, your mother ought to be a responsible adult and a good parent by giving up her own weekend. I apologize once more for her inability to look past her rage. I can assure you that she will regret not going if she doesn't attend. Despite your family's dysfunction, I hope your wedding is full of amazing memories for you and your spouse. Best wishes. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but you really are the jerk. Your mother is becoming a touch too much. However, it appears awkward to have your father, who cheated on your mother for years, accompany you to your wedding and lead you down the aisle. Is he truly a worthy object of love?